Hey, everybody, welcome to the first episode of the Nuclear Leader Podcast. I'm Bill Nowicki, your host. This is probably the most difficult episode I'm going to do because I'm going to talk about myself, which is probably a hard thing to do, and I'm not sure why. And I think the Nuclear Leader Podcast, it's time. It's time to inspire, educate, empower nuclear leaders while I try to humanize things. I want this podcast to be about people, not just about all the things that we talk about normally. I think there is a lack of human focus for the nuclear industry. I've been in the industry since 1980. I started out then, and I've been globally facilitating leadership seminars. I've led an organization of 75 people in the projects organization. And I've done over a decade of podcasting in the arena of podcasting. I'll talk a little bit about how I got started with that. I think today in the nuclear industry, we face, and as we've always faced, we got to balance the technical things with the people things. And I don't know about you, but I've struggled with leadership, the folks in leadership my whole career. And I think we can do better. And I know, especially with the new folks that I've got to meet through my facilitation, that there are really great folks out there, young people that really, really care. The challenges with the industry as they are the amount of time, scheduling, 24-hour business. So that's going to really pull people away if we don't get this right. So I want to see hopefully the nuclear industry evolve. And I'll talk about this at the end, but I need your help to understand that. So I would love for you to contact me and get interested and let me know what your issues are. But let's talk a little bit about me. So I gave up a promising career as an ice cream scooper at Friendly's in Orleans, Massachusetts. Yeah. So I was doing great as an ice cream scooper. The problem was they wouldn't let me be on the grill because they said I couldn't handle it. Fast forward 2 years from then, I was operating or trying to operate a reactor as an electrician's mate. I got accepted into the nuclear program as an enlisted guy, signed up for 6 years, liked the idea of trying new things. I was always excited about that. Plus, they said I was special. And if I were to talk a little bit about my own upbringing, I came from a family, large family, and it was hard to be heard. So when you're the fifth of six kids, yeah, you don't get, no one asks you where you want to go eat or any of that. You're kind of at the end of the totem pole. So I learned to kind of fit in, which I did. My brother and I would take off into the woods, hang out, break rocks open. Now we're both engineers, so what does that tell you? Anyway, yeah, so we were a pretty chaotic family. Wasn't heard too much. So when the Navy recruiter said, "You're special," I really picked up on it. And my dad always talked about the Navy. He was a uh, construction battalion, CB. They just created it for World War II. He was a CBer in the Pacific. So he was on Iwo Jima after the flag was raised, as you might remember from history. They were put on the island to make a airstrip so planes could land and fly to Tokyo for bombing and all that good stuff. So he was part of that. And he always talked about how he loved the Navy. So I joined the Navy as part of that. And I knew it would make him proud, and it certainly did. So that started my nuclear career. I ended up on the Minneapolis St. Paul. Shout out to that group. SSN 708 was a plank owner, so it was built and launched in 1982. I was on board where they launched us down the slimy whatever in Groton, Connecticut. The slimy whatever tracks it was on. They greased it up. And yeah, it was March of 1982. So I joined in 1980, became, an electrical operator. I got really good at it, which I will say the Navy was transformative to me because I had not known that I could do technical things and I was smart enough to do technical things. So that was an eye-opening thing for me, and I became pretty good at it. But I also recognized that I was limited. Um, I couldn't go much higher in rank in 6 years. I was frocked to be an E6, which is a first class petty officer, but I didn't really want to move up. I wanted a life outside of the military. I did my 6 years. I felt really good about that. And I got out. And the last couple of years of that stint, I studied and got a high enough SAT score to go to Old Dominion University and started there and transferred to Virginia Tech because I was doing very, very well at Old Dominion. And I attributed that to the program not being as challenging. So I love complexity, love a challenge. So I went out to Virginia Tech, BSEE from there. And I told myself I wouldn't work in nuclear power. So I took a job at Calvert Cliffs Nuclear Plant in Maryland somehow, got there, spent 8 years there. Really liked it. I was at first in maintenance, did root causes and apparent causes as a maintenance engineer, and I did not like it. And this is goes to the crux of what I do today. I recognized I didn't have skin in the game. So when I did analysis of what happens after the fact when someone messes up, I recognized that it was easy to do that versus doing it yourself. So I never wanted to be in a position where I judged people and did a write up about things they messed up and not being willing to do my own stuff. So I got out of that, became the motor operated valve engineer at Calvert Cliffs, which it's a big program. Sounds like not much, but it's a big program in nuclear power because those valves have to operate. In fact, 3 Mile Island was caused in part because of a stuck open power operated relief valve that the operators never shut the block valve. One of those block valves is a motor operated valve at Calvert Cliffs, and it's in a high risk. It's a small valve, but it needs to work to terminate an accident like happened at 3 Mile Island. So I was over that program, learned a whole bunch about that. Got to work with some really interesting people at Calvert Cliffs, including Keith Chrisman, who's on the show. He's retired now, but I got to know him. Super nice guy. In fact, we were tasked with looking at pressure locking and thermal binding on motor operated valves, and I had set up a test. And the maintenance supervisor that I had worked with decided it wasn't safe. He made up some reasons, and Keith stepped up with a couple other techs and helped me out. We actually got some data on a shutdown system when we were shutting down to identify thermal binding loads, and provided that to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and they gave us a attaboy for that, which was nice. But it was all because of people like Keith Crispin that believed in what we were doing and the importance of it. But anyway, did that for 8 years, and I moved late in my Calvert Cliffs career to a job as a design engineer, and I had not done that yet, and I was getting bored of being the motor operated valve engineer, another important part of me, which I get bored after a few years doing stuff. So I took a job in design, did some designs there, got involved in digital upgrades and control systems, which are high risk because those are the things that tell valves to move, pumps to speed up, all that good stuff, operator interfaces, all that high risk stuff. So first got involved in that at Calvert, and then I took a job at McGuire Nuclear Station in North Carolina, when and that's what I did, control system upgrades, which I learned a whole bunch doing that. One little tip, if you're a nuclear leader listening to this, if you never want to worry about a job, and hopefully you have the capability to do this, move toward the complexity. A lot of people get scared and anxious, and I get it, but I never had to worry about work because no one wanted my job because it was high risk. I didn't care. I thought it was important work, and I also got to meet a bunch of people. I probably knew 1,000 names by heart at Calvert Cliffs just from my building relationships and getting to know people through the kinds of things I worked on. So when I moved to North Carolina after 8 years, so that put me at 2000, the year 2000, I moved to North Carolina, worked in the modifications group, did control system upgrades and some other stuff. Enjoyed that work a lot. Then I got an opportunity to be promoted to the job as supervisor. And I'm not sure if you've had a leadership position, but I will tell you what drove me. One is I never thought I'd want to be a leader or supervisor. Just because I'm not a type A, I'm not really good with details necessarily, uh, like names of things. I'll forget people's names, but I am good at um, things that might not make sense or things that are a little fuzzy. So I um, leveraged that. But what I recognized, I put in for the job because I thought I was just as smart as the people that had the job before me. And the second thing is, if I wanted to do something different, I'd have to put myself out there again, chasing the complexity. Being a leader, a first level leader, was the hardest job I ever had. We had just gotten license renewal at McGuire Nuclear Station. I had 17 people reporting to me. We had many modifications we were dealing with. And it was very stressful to me because I was not good at keeping track of things. We didn't have good systems in place, which technology I think is so important, especially in the future for our industry. But yeah, I did that job for about a year, and then they created a new organization called Major Projects where I put in for engineering director, and turns out I was the only one with any supervisor experience and got the job. So I did that for 4 years, and it was an incredible job. I loved it. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And a couple factors there. You might hear the sound of I'm in Marietta, Georgia now. I might hear the sound of the train going through Marietta. It's about a mile away. But anyway, I really liked that job because I got a chance to really stretch myself. I got to see another part of the organization, the business, the integration. And I also had a lot of ability to change people's lives. So when you put someone in a job like a distributed control system replacements, which what we did, 16 control systems, probably had 12 engineers or so on it, supervisor who reported to me, and mechanical supervisor, and the guy who did all the drawings, supervisor, he reported to me also. But you get to see how large projects transform people's lives. It's not just from a technical aspect, but it's also from a people. You have to be good with people. You have to be good at interacting with others, getting people to move in the same direction. It's incredibly challenging, but you really don't become what you need to be unless you change. And to me, change was a big thing. Yeah, and I've worked with not so good leaders throughout my shoot, how many years is it? 45 years in the industry. And I recognized how important leadership was. And I'll talk about it and those leaders throughout my podcast episodes, but suffice it to say, those challenges really taught me how important relationships were, trust was, being able to coach people, how important it was to give feedback, how to help them, put them in the right job so they can succeed, ask better questions. I mean, I can't think of how many times that I was put in situations where I didn't ask the right question. I got the answer that I was looking for, perhaps, but it wasn't the real answer and ended up being surprised later. And in engineering, you really can't. And, yeah, I found leaders who lacked that vulnerability, empathy, and it just made it so hard to build trust with teams. And I held back many times with leaders just because I didn't trust them enough to share things. And I did that job for 4 years as engineering director, and I felt like it was time for me to move on. They were talking about moving me. Progress Energy was just bought by Duke. They were expanding and looking to send me somewhere I didn't want to go. And I decided after hearing from a recruiter to go to INPO, the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations in Atlanta. So I picked up and moved there. I went as an evaluator. Not real fan of being an evaluator, but I took the job because I knew what I did with projects at Duke were transferable to any plant in the country, building good teams, finding the right people, interacting with the vendor, all those type things were so important. But yeah, I started out as an evaluator and I did a lot of the project work also, but most of my work was evaluations, which I did not enjoy. I found it very difficult, at least for me, to go to a plant for the 2 weeks that an evaluation happened and evaluate entire engineering programs and people and processes and all that stuff. Not my, probably my second toughest job. And yeah, I was having physical issues even. I had some irritable bowel syndrome, couldn't sleep, a little bit of sleepiness. My blood pressure was high. So wasn't really working out. And then I heard about a job being a facilitator in the learning delivery department at INPO. So that's where we do leadership seminars. So I've been doing that for the last 7 something years, maybe even 8, no, 7.5 years, I would say. And I got to go all over the world. I've been to China, Japan, South Africa, Mexico, Canada, United States, all over the United States. I've been to national labs. I've been to different plants. People have come from all over the world. Baraka, I've been to in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. So Europe, I've been all over Europe, Cernavodă in Romania. It's been such a great journey for me. And here's why. I think we have some of the best leaders. Every time I meet with them, I am blown away with how much they care, how much they put into the work, and how well they do. Now, do we have challenges? Absolutely. Have we had accidents? Absolutely. But I think the people have really done so well to keep at least the United States safe from accidents, major accidents since 3 Mile Island in 1979. So I can't be more proud of the industry I'm in. I can't be more proud than to serve the folks that come and facilitate. And I'm super excited to bring you the stories that you'll hear the rest of season 1 and the rest of the seasons of The Nuclear Leader. So let's talk a little bit what you can do. So you can go to nuclearleader.com to let me know what your show ideas are, what you are struggling with as a leader, who'd you like to hear from. I'm trying to get more exciting people as the podcast grows, but your ideas about the show, if you're struggling with something, let me know. You can even leave a speak pipe, leave a voice message would be great. You can send me an email, bill@nuclearleader.com. You can reach out on social media. I'm on TikTok. You can also reach me at LinkedIn. Just let me know what you think about the podcast for sure. Leave a review, leave a follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you hear your podcasts, or even on YouTube. That would be helpful too. The Nuclear Leader Podcast is on YouTube. I'm going to try to do the visual stuff too, which I have not tried, but it's so far so good. And I appreciate each and every one of you listening. And if you could tell a couple friends about the show, I'd surely appreciate that too. But this is Bill Nowicki saying thanks for listening. I made it one take, and I hope to hear from you, and I hope you'll listen to the Nuclear Leader Podcast.